How's it going, you guys? It's Matthew from Sovereign Sustainability. I got Keith from EMF Remedy. You'll see a link to our podcast from a previous video, and we are going to do an EMF walkthrough of my house.
Let's do it.
Alright, so here is Keith and his team. They are doing an EMF test of our full house, starting in the kitchen. So you'll notice as we go through here, Keith and one of his gals here they have different EMF devices, so they're looking for different types of EMF. And so there are 5 main types of EMF that we're looking for. There's ELF, which is extremely long frequencies, RF, which is radio frequencies, magnetic fields, electric fields, and dirty electricity. Those are the core 5 things that we are going to be testing for on this. So you'll notice he's messing with the breaker right now. This is important because we're looking for both dirty electricity in the walls, in the devices, as well as what other types of radiation are coming off of the devices that we are using. A lot of this EMF and different types of radiation that we're looking for, they're going to be electrically based. So if you shut off all your breakers, you're going to heavily reduce your EMF exposure. So right now you can see they're going through my office, if you will. It's also the playroom. Yeah, I make the big bucks in a playroom. So right there is near my laptop. So one thing that they're doing during these tests is they're looking for where are the key areas that we're spending a lot of time. I spend a lot of time working on my laptop because I run a business. So I'm going to spend a lot of time around the laptop right there. So I also want to add that there's a difference between natural EMF and non-natural EMF. So for example, we're going to collect some amount of radiation from, the sun and other celestial bodies. The Earth, I'm sure, gives off radiation as well. However, we're talking mostly about artificial EMF. So the type of EMF that's coming from electrical devices, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, different things like that. First, we're taking a test of the EMF ratings with the breaker turned off. So all electricity to everything is turned off. So it's going to give us more of like our natural EMF ratings. And then we're going to turn the breakers back on and we do a few tests, near the water heater, near electrical outlets, near the stove, near the oven, near, every appliance that we have or electrical outlet. We're going to be doing a test to see what's going on.
7.25 for a radio frequency.
7.25?
Yep.
So one of the things I learned from this experiment is that the goal is to get yourself as distance from non-native EMF producing devices as much as possible. So just about anything that's got electricity running through it is going to give off some non-native EMF. So your water heater, your computer, your cell phone, your space heaters that heat the walls and heat the house, oven, fridge, all kinds of anything that electricity is coursing through is going to give off some degree of EMF. And when they're running a lot of electricity, they're going to be giving off more EMF. As we go back downstairs, you'll notice that we have a dishwasher, an oven, and a fridge all in one spot. If the oven is running and the dishwasher is running at the same time and you're standing right in between them, you're going to get a lot more EMF exposure than, if you run them and you step away. Another thing they're finding too, as they're here on the beds testing the EMF here after we turn the breaker back on, is that the water heater is actually right below where I sleep. So there's a massive EMF reading when that water heater is running. Now, not a big deal because, the water heater is only going to run for so long while we're sleeping, and it probably won't because we're not running any hot water. So chances are it'll run, heat up the water, and it'll stop, and it won't continue running. So that's where these tests are beneficial because they show you where you're being exposed to non-native EMF. The goal of all of this is not to 100% eliminate technology. It's rather we take preventative measures to reduce our exposure to environmental toxins, EMF being an important environmental toxin to shield yourself from. We're still going to use all the same technologies. We're just going to use them differently and distance ourselves from them when they're running. And on top of that, there's also ways that we may be doing things that are just standard operating procedure, but we could adjust in a little bit and it doesn't change our life that much. However, it changes our health dramatically. So the goal is to meet you where you are at and make adjustments that are not extremely challenging for you, but can have a long-term benefit on the health of you and your family.
It's that phenomenon of these are very long waves.
Okay.
And so they do interact with the body. And so when you see something get higher with the NFA 1000, you want to make sure you're away from your body as much as possible.
Okay. Highest is 4.3.
Okay. We picked it up on the really high levels of radiation come out somewhere between every few seconds to every few minutes, depending on how many applications and what they are.
Right. And if it's
you're
4G
doing
or
nothing,
5G
you're not getting
tower.
a call, you're not texting, you're not doing anything, and it'll be doing that just periodically. But that's the lowest exposure. The highest exposure is going to be if you are doing like a FaceTime.
Video.
So you're seeing them and you're transmitting yourself.
Okay.
And the middle one would be streaming a video.
A video.
To quantify, but I have talked to people who have been driven out of cities when they put 5G in. They could no longer tolerate being in a city. And so they had to give up living where they've loved and they've been for a long time. And that seems like it must be a whole lot worse for that to happen.
Like noticeably.
Yeah, but nobody has any way of quantifying, no official,
Sure.
No. But people who do what I do, we just hear anecdotally that it's a lot worse. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to find out if we can come up with a solution where they could sleep in lower electric fields at night. So the bedroom with the power on was 329
Ew.
volts per meter. And with the power off, it's 4.3. So what I want to do now is turn all the power back on. And you remember what I was telling you guys yesterday about the protocol for switching breakers and somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do that here now and see if we can.
You said when the power off, I thought it was 24. The power off.
4 point.
What I've written down here is the bedroom with the power on for the electric field was 329.
Right, and the power off, it was.
4.3.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry.
A lot less.
All right.
Yep.
So it turns their refrigerator off upstairs, and in order for my bedroom to be completely energy free, electric free, and I wanted to ask them like what they've been noticing because it's been last night it was 8 hours, so I'm curious.
There's things that you can do. So for example, it might be that turning it off for 8 hours won't do anything. Just don't open it.
Yeah.
Like after you turn it off, don't open it. Because when you open it, all the
thing that you're
cool comes out.
Okay.
So it might be just fine. You might notice, some people might find that their milk only lasts 7 days instead of 10, I don't know. But you guys are probably drinking raw milk, dry ice, and stick a chunk in the freezer and a chunk in the refrigerator, and you can do that. Some people will start putting things outside, because it's winter.
In the winter, yeah.
Yeah. But what we're going to do next is we're going to find out if it's even necessary to turn off the refrigerator. So we're going to try to find a solution that's less than the 329 in the upstairs in the bedroom.
Oh, like you could shut off certain
ones that are maybe not. Yeah, not all of them.
No, they don't turn the outlets right now.
They're not working right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Turn the breakers on at the panel outside.
Turn the... Yeah, let's try. We'll do them one at a time.
Okay.
So, who wants to be upstairs and who wants to be downstairs?
I'll be upstairs.
Okay.
I need this for the turn off. Is that right?
Yeah, so we'll be transmitting most of the time.
Okay.
And Marina, you'll come with me, and then we can.
Okay, so now we are in the solution phase. So what we're doing is we're working with both breakers. This is our main breaker right now that James is working on. And we're essentially looking to see what can we do with as minimal effort as possible to reduce our EMF exposure. So do we need to turn switches off to reduce our EMF exposure near X, Y, and Z outlets? Or can we just unplug something? Or do we just not have to do anything? So that's what we're doing here is there are going to be one individual in an area, one individual near the switch. They're going to run their tests near the area, and the person is going to flip the switch on and off, and we're going to test, what can we do? Can we just get enough distance from a certain area to reduce EMF exposure, or do we have to turn off the switch, or what do we need to do?
Yes, tandem breaker switch installed.
Correct. But now we're in a different box. So for this house, to do a sleep switch, we're going to need 2 sleep switches for that box. One for this one. And they're not the same.
Thinking about a sleeper switch right now, which is a great alternative to having to turn your switch off on your breaker every single night to get rid of all the electricity flowing through the walls and have all your appliances stop running. The benefit of a sleeper switch is not only does it make it easy to turn your breaker on and off without you having to flip the switch every single night, but on top of that, it reduces your fire hazard because these switches aren't meant to be turned on and off every single day for years on end.
This was number 2.
All I need to know is what the meter says. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Now, when a panel becomes full, and you've got all the circuits being utilized, and you want to put one more circuit in, which we're going to need to do for the sleep switch, you have to move to what are called tandem breakers. And so you notice how these are skinny? So you can get a pair of breakers in the same amount of space as one breaker. So what the electrician needs to know is that it's a square D panel, and we need a, now we read the amps. So this is 20 amp, 20 amp, 20 amp. So we need a tandem 20, and this is to power the cutoff switch.
Is there room on here to put one in?
Yeah, any one of these can be doubled.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So we need a tandem 20 amp square D for this panel. We're going to do a cutoff switch. And then let's go see what we need on the outside, because it's, and then you see these numbers on the end? This is the number of amps. This can't read that very well, but can you see what it says?
20.
That's a 20.
Yep.
This one says 30, this one says 50. Can you see those numbers?
Barely.
So we just need 20 amp to run the switch, the remote cutoff switch. There are plenty of 20 amp circuits here. So we're just going to replace one of these with a tandem. That's where 2 of these go in the space of one. And then one of those will continue to power whatever it is that, say, this one, for example, powers. And then we'll have one to power the remote cutoff switch.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. Yep.
And sometimes it'll say,
Certainly radios anymore?
All right, so after they got done with their EMF testing, they went over these results with us right here. So I'm gonna go through this a little bit. So, all right, first page, let's talk about magnetic fields. It says magnetic fields occur whenever electricity is being used. The more electricity being used, the greater the magnetic field potential. So if a home is wired properly according to the National Electrical Code, magnetic fields from the wiring will be minimized in the home wiring. However, certain types of appliances create magnetic fields near the appliance, even if wired correctly. Overhead power lines, transformers, your home's main electrical panel, power supplies, and certain other items can create magnetic fields. There's precautionary guidelines right here, so it kind of shows the levels. So extreme concern is going to be 5, I think that's megahertz and above. Looks like we're in the 0 to 0.2 megahertz. So that is ideal. So no remedies required on that one. So we're gonna set that one down. All right, next is dirty electricity. So DE is what they call it, is AC electricity contaminated by high frequency voltage transients and frequencies not necessary for electrical power. DE is often caused by switch mode power supplies, which are commonly found in LED lighting, fluorescent lighting, power inverters, chargers, personal computers, variable speed motors, and many other devices. So a lot more information on there. Essentially, we've got the benchmarks here. We've got good, average, and undesirable. Looks like 25. I don't know what GS stands for. We're at the 50 plus. So we got 50 plus throughout. So it says we can make big improvements in reducing dirty electricity by having your friend install 2 quad outlets at meter to disconnect, an L2, etc. So basically we're gonna have to install those, a couple grand, no big deal. 3, we've got radio frequency or microwave. Radiation was used, okay, it says radio frequency radiation was used originally for radar and cook food. Today, many manufacturers are using microwave radiation in an open airway to provide foundation for a so-called smart devices like smartphones, smart meters, smartwatches, smart homes, etc. So other common microwave radiation devices include Wi-Fi routers, Bluetooth devices, wireless baby monitors, cell phones, portable phones, etc. On this one, it says 0.1 to 1,000 extreme concern. We're at the 0.1 to 10, so slight concern. It says really excellent RF. Consider an RF meter for RF hygiene. So there's probably things that we could do to check around the house to see what's going on to improve that one, but it's not the biggest concern. All right, next is electric fields, EF. It says electric fields, EF, emanate from power lines, wiring, power cables, power strips, extension cords, and all electrical devices. Homes often have unshielded wiring in walls, ceiling, and under the floor, surrounding occupants with a continuous oscillating field of electrical energy. Unlike MF, EF is at a full strength even when electricity is not being used. With appropriate technique, electric fields can be measured using a body voltage meter. So on this one, you get the no concern to the extreme concern. We are at the extreme concern. It says, don't freak out about the extreme label. This is normal in many homes. Family can sleep in much improved EF using a sleep switch. So essentially this is where we just need to get our electricity turned off at night. And so we need a sleeper switch to that. So I'll read the summary. It says, thank you for your business. It has been a pleasure serving you. Please let us know how we can serve you better in the future. We encourage clients to consider the precautionary principle when considering the adoption, use, or exposure to new technology that emit electromagnetic radiation. Until a technology has been proven to do no biological harm, it may be wise to avoid exposure. I agree with that 100%. It says we provide consulting for existing and new home purchase, land purchase, construction consulting for people interested in reducing their exposure to man-made EMF. If you need help implementing any of the mitigation strategies outlined herein, let us know. We're available, and then they give us a discount for additional service in the future. So Keith, I appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much for coming in, blessing our house, not just with EMF, protection and guidelines and education, but also in good prayer and good company. So we've got some things to work on. The main things are not the magnetic fields. The main things are gonna be the dirty electricity, which we need to work on. So we can install 2 quad outlets at the meter disconnect. So that's going to be important to do. And then the other one that we have that's a concern is not the radio frequency, it's the electric fields. With that one, it looks like the main thing we can do is a sleeper switch so we can turn off our electricity at night. Super awesome. I had a blast doing this, got to shoot some cool video, got to learn a lot, got to test out our EMF in our house. I highly recommend you guys go to emfremedy.com and then also check out his YouTube channel at EMF Remedy. That's Keith Cutter. He knows what he's talking about. He can help educate you. He can help set you up with the right equipment to test yourself. Make sure to shoot a like and subscribe not only to my channel, but his. And then I'll also once again post up above the podcast we did together that goes into a lot of this more in depth and talks about more electromagnetic frequency type things, health and wellness and all of that. So yeah, appreciate you guys. God bless. Have a good one.